My name is Tony Mariano, Director of Athletics, and on behalf of the Athletic Department and University, I want to welcome you to the 38th Annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I sincerely appreciate your support for this great event and your support of the individuals that we will be honoring here today. And I hope that this day will be one that you will fondly remember. Today we will be inducting 8 individuals and 2 teams into the Norwich Athletic Hall of Fame. They will join 303 other individuals and 29 teams that have previously been inducted into our athletic fraternity. This induction is our way of honoring these athletes for their outstanding accomplishments while at Norwich and for their continued success after graduation. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the members of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee who are directly responsible for the selection of the Hall of Fame candidates and ask them to stand. First, Joan Mushmacher, Derek Dunning, Ken Howard, Ed Hernandez, Hope Allen Moulton, and Wally Mclean. Now at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Mark Anarumo, President of Norwich University, to say a few words. President Anarumo.
Thanks, Tony. So, first and most importantly, I'd like to congratulate all the honorees tonight, and I know we're going to do another ceremony later in the weekend for the class. You know, we're doing 2 classes of everything this year to do it right. Too close? How about there? I'll stand there. So, they had me triple booked tonight. I don't get to stay for dinner with you, but I didn't want to go for you to experience this event without hearing from the new president. I know there's some curiosities about the new guy and what he's all about, and I just wanted to put everyone's mind at ease. Right? I mean, I'm here with you. I love this school. I've known it intimately through its graduates for the past 38 years. And when the job was open, I was tracking to another presidency. I actually stopped that process just to compete, and here I am. And I'm very devoted, and I'm very, very proud to be here. I just acknowledge the honorees, but before I say anything else, I want to thank and celebrate also those on the committee. Hey, can you do something with that? I don't want them, they're going to hate me because they're getting feedback. It's like a Jimi Hendrix concert without the good music. All right, how about there? You guys getting that buzzing? I can stand here and yell if that helps. Is that good? All right, I'll just do that till they can clean that up. All right, so look, I'm getting to know everybody. I'm trying to meet everyone. I'm trying to be very active amongst the alumni all over this country. I've been on the road a lot, and one of the things we do when we go on the road is get to go out, get to watch some sports, get to go visit sporting occasions. I know we got some the Atlanta, Georgia crew in here somewhere, and we're gonna have, there we are. We're gonna do a hockey game, I believe, this November. That's gonna be a lot of fun, right? But look, I'm a sports guy, and my family are sports people. Now, of course, the new president's gonna say that at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, right? Just to tell you where we're coming from. I got 4 kids. One has physical disability. She didn't play. My oldest son, Mark Jr., was the goalie on the Air Force Academy hockey team. And he played there for a couple of years, and he wound up on the Armed Forces All-Star team, and we followed him around Europe playing German men's teams. And they were losing by a lot, and he would come off the ice covered in welts because they were men. And he was facing 65, 70, 75 shots a game. And they weren't easy shots. And as a goalie's father, anybody hockey goalies? It is the most heartbreaking, like worse than football quarterback, I think. It's the most lonely position in sports, and the only thing worse than being a goalie in ice hockey is being a goalie's father. Painful. But that was his high-level hockey. Now he's out stationed in Las Vegas. He's playing on the recreational league that plays in the Golden Knights Arena there in downtown Vegas. So very, very happy for Mark. My daughter Julia is truly the gifted athlete in the family. 5-sport varsity athlete. She played field hockey in Jersey, then basketball in Turkey, soccer in Germany, and lacrosse in Colorado. And now she's down at Rutgers. Nick is playing basketball at Northfield High School, and he's about to restart. Neil Anderson is sitting here. Thank you, Neil. We got one of his former players going to help my son start a varsity lacrosse program here in Northfield. So that means, if you kept track, I've coached, because all sports dads coach, right? Ice hockey, men and women, lacrosse, men and women, basketball, soccer, right? And by the way, I didn't know jack about lacrosse, so I'm calling out hockey terminology while they were playing lacrosse in Colorado, and every parent's like, is that some kind of secret play? I'm like, hold the blue line, don't ice, don't ice. They're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? So, this is my, and it's not just for the sports, right? It's not just for the glory that sports brings. It's great for our brand, right? When Sophie and her athletes go out and play another school wearing the Norwich sweater, what does that mean to our school? It elevates our brand. People from all over the country know Norwich hockey, right? They know Norwich rugby. And the men's rugby teams went to Dartmouth and they smoked them. Did you see the scores from last weekend? They killed the Division I program. It was beautiful. You know, and then I get to go to LaSalle and I watch Neil and his guys try to a second consecutive conference championship. It was phenomenal. What we show with the brand is phenomenally important to the school. That's great. But it's what it does for our young men and women who are competing. What do you learn on the field? Right? You learn followership whether you want to or not. That's a harder lesson than most. You come as a sports star, and all of a sudden you're normalized because you got a lot of other athletes next to you, right? You learn how to follow, you learn how to be a peer leader, and then you learn how to be a leader more formalized as a captain or as a primary part of the team. And those are lessons that carry forth into all industries and all experiences, whether military or whatever industry you go into, whatever career you choose to pursue. So I'm looking at some folks out here that we're celebrating tonight, and that we'll celebrate again later in the weekend. And this Hall of Fame, we're going to go big with everything about athletics here at Norwich. Okay? Tony is going to be retiring next year. It's been well announced. And where'd he go? Oh, smokes, Tony. Never won an Italian guy at your 6. Especially not from Rome. Right? At 40 years as our athletic director. And we should take a moment to It was funny. We were watching a men's soccer team play St. Joe's the other day, and I'm up there, I had my laptop out. I was trying to do some meetings while I was watching the game, and Tony's sitting next to me. He coached the whole game, sitting next to me under his breath, because he's too respectful to interrupt and interact with the team in the way that the coach would not appreciate, I'm sure. But every play he called, he knew what was coming. He was soccer before he was hockey, before he was AD, right? So 40 years, unbelievable. We're hiring a new athletic director. I'm just telling everyone, we're going to go big. We're going to go big for sports at Norwich because it's going to be such an important part of who we are moving forward. Okay? Those that we honor, thank you for all you've done for Norwich and continue to do. And I'm telling you that the young men and women that are at the school right now competing, that have followed in your footsteps, they're representing the school beautifully. Our coaches are world class. I put them up against any coaches in the country. And as we build out athletics to a next level of excellence, it's going to bring more attention to the school, to Northfield, to Vermont. It's going to make everyone very, very proud. Okay? So I'm going to have to go because, like I said, I got to give another talk, and maybe they'll let me eat before Sunday. I don't know. But I'm very grateful for everyone for all of your support. I celebrate the honorees. Please hear me when I say very sincerely, thank you for what you've done for our school. And the athletes that are in the room, our Courage Student athletes, thank you for what you're doing for our school. And you make them proud. You are their legacy. And the coaches are doing more to bring in kids and keep kids here than maybe any other part of the school. And we're giving them more tools to be more successful. So everyone, thank you for letting me come and saying hello. I just wanted to make sure you could put a voice with a face and see me standing with you. I'm here because I love what you do for us. Okay? And we'll go together forward. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
And now at this time, I'd ask Reverend Bill Wick to come forward to give the invocation.
Return thanks for tonight's dinner in your own way, or if you so choose, I invite you to join with me in prayer. Father, we gather together to share this wonderful meal. to celebrate some of the wonderful athletes who have represented our university in a various number of sports venues. For the invited guests who are here, for those of us who are so very privileged to be part of this great university, and for our opportunity to fellowship together tonight, we thank you. For those who set everything up for our dining benefit, for those who prepared what we're about to eat, for those who now serve it to us, we thank you and we thank them as well. May all our interactions and conversations with each other be pleasing in your sight. And we thank you for your blessings that are ours by your grace. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
All right, so now we'll have the staff at Sodexo announce the tables for the buffet, and enjoy your meal, and we'll be back right after dinner with our ceremony. Thank you. It's difficult putting on one Hall of Fame event a weekend, but when you have to put two Hall of Fame events on a weekend, it really is a trying event. And I have been extremely fortunate to have some wonderful people that have really done all of the work for both of these Hall of Fames. And I just want to introduce them and offer my thanks to them. First is my office manager, Sarah Pryor, and her husband, Eric. Please stand and be recognized. And we even recruited my former office manager, Kathy Diego, to help. So Kathy, thank you. And for those of you that haven't been over to Andrews Hall, when you walk in, there's a big display. Actually, it's that one that was there. And then in the Hall of Fame room, the individual pictures are up. The team pictures are in the hallway. And my women's basketball coach, Mark Zacher, has done all of that. He should have been an art teacher in school instead of a basketball coach, but because he's so good at it. But those people are the ones that have done all the work. And I sit back and write a few things down and get up here and say a few things, but it's because of them that makes this thing happen. So I just want to personally thank them for everything that they've done for this event and for our event again on Sunday. So some of you probably haven't been back on campus for a while, and it probably looks a little bit different than when you were here. Some new buildings, Mac Hall being the newest of all of them, which is an unbelievable facility for cybersecurity, a new auditorium. We renamed Webb Hall to honor President Schneider to Schneider Hall, and that's all been refurbished. And then, obviously, what we've done to Sabine Field has been spectacular. To be able to have artificial turf, lights, it's just been a tremendous upgrade to that facility. And I'll tell you a quick story. The very first night that we turned the lights on that field for a practice, all these cars started pulling in because they didn't know what the hell was going on. They never saw lights on Sabine Field before. And they kept pulling in. They're parking the car, and they're going, what? And I said, well, we're just having football practice. Yeah, but there's lights. I go, well, yeah, that's what we did. It's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Well, we turned the lights on, and they all came. And but that's been a great facility for us, and we're just so pleased that not only football, but men's and women's soccer, men's and women's lacrosse, and even rugby has been able to utilize that field. And baseball and softball too have had practices there. So, and we're out there in February, folks. We plow the field, and teams are able to participate, even though it's a little chilly. They still get out there, and the kids really love it, and it's been great. For some of you, you may have watch some of our games via the web. We try to stream as many of our games as we possibly can. And you just go on the athletic website, and it'll tell you if the game's being streamed, and you can click on that and watch the games. We do a great production of our games, and it's so great to be able to see our teams play, and especially for our alums that are far away and can't get back to campus, and even more importantly for our student athletes' parents that live so far away that really want to come and see their son or daughter play and can't because of the distance. Now they can watch them play and have that ability to do so. So that's been a great addition for us, and just great for us to have. We do have several members that are in the Hall of Fame in the audience tonight, and I won't name them all, but I would ask those that are in the Hall of Fame currently to please stand and be recognized. Steve Mattson, you're not in the Hall of Fame, no. Yeah, I know you didn't make the banquet. Okay. At this time, I'd like to have Ed Hernandez to come forward. Ed, or Chico, as he's mostly known as, is our chair of the selection committee, and he's going to help me with the presentations. We'll do the individual awards and then the team awards. Ed will help in that process. So our first inductee was an outstanding goalie for the cadets that also had an unbelievable distinguished military career. From the class of 1965, it's George Hanley. And unfortunately, George couldn't be here tonight, but one of his good friends and teammates, Joe Fiacco, is going to come up and speak on his behalf. So, Joe, please come forward. Stefan wants us to do the picture over here. On that side? Yeah. Joe, we're going to do the picture first. No, middle. There you go.
Good evening. There's some great concern here. I've been known to speak for a long time, so I'm on the clock. George and I came from northern New York. When George went to school in Ogdensburg Free Academy, they had no hockey program. We were in the same company as freshmen. I went out for the hockey team, made the team. First semester, those of you that played hockey years ago know you lose half the team at the end of the first semester. So we lost half the team at the end of the first semester, and we needed a goalie. So we went to the PX and saw George, asked him if he wanted to play. He said he knew how to skate, he played pond hockey, and he was our starting goalie for the second semester. And he did quite well. Sophomore year, they had enough goalies, he didn't play. Their junior year, he was a backup goalie to George Philly, and if we got way ahead or way behind, then he would play. Senior year, he was a starting goalie. We were in the same company the senior year, and Norwich is big on intramurals. We were playing flag football, and I told George we'd run through this hole, and somebody hit him in the head right in his collarbone, broke his collarbone. So we got hockey practice within 3 weeks. The season starts. The first game, maybe in the program, we played Dartmouth. He starts. He gives up 5 goals in less than 5 minutes. So that was an issue. So Bob had recruited 2 new goalies. He put them in. Each one of them gave up 5 goals apiece. So that wasn't a good start. 3 days later, we have to go play Colgate. Colgate's a Division I team, and they were one of our opponents for 3 years. We beat them 2 out of 3 years. So George goes. He was telling me, and we remember, he and I bowled a game there. It was a brand new field house at the time. We get in there, so we bowl a game, and then we go play the game, and Bob didn't tell him he was going to start. So he gets in the net, and 49 saves later, we win 3-1. And the fans there were ruthless to us about Dartmouth when the game started. At the end of the first period, they were still a little excited because we were up 1-0. By the end of the second period, it was 2-1, and when we went up 3-1, they're booing their own fans. So, and then one other quick one, warming up, Roger Gilmet was an outstanding sophomore at the time. He gets hit over the eye with a puck just warming up, so he's got to get stitched. He's in the locker room swearing and yelling at the doctor, stitching him up because he can hear all the noise, and he wants to get in the game. So anyway, we did well, and George had a phenomenal year for a young man that had never played the sport. Now, I don't know if that would ever happen again, because most people today are recruited. So, all right, so this is what he would like to say. I would like to thank the committee for the honor. I thought getting in it as a team was great, but this is another order of magnitude. Kenny Howard proved to be an outstanding salesman. That being said, this is not my award, it belongs to the team. They provide the support and teamwork, let's see, where do we go here, that made this possible. 50 years ago, we had 20 players, if there was that many, by the way. And with injuries, there was probably 17. I think our junior year, we ended up with like 15 people. 17 or less dressed for a game. We played 5 Division I teams and were able to win more than our fair share. 55 years ago is a long time. It's actually 56. Let's see, where do we go here? It's brought some sad times with good memories. We just recently lost Artie Kramer. Prior to that, we lost Robert Bootleg Williams, Matty O'Keefe, George Kozak, Bruce Morris, Eddie Galvin, Artie Venenzia. That's 7 players off our team that have died. That's what happens when you're in your 70s, okay? Someday you'll all be there if you're not there now. This list is sad, but we need to remember the good memories. This is the key. The good memories we had while a member of the Corps Cadets, the hockey team which provided the relief from the Corps. They told us when we were freshmen that Norwich University is a family. 56 years later, that is correct. My friends, and not the friends I have that are still here, are still tightly bonded. And if you need a favor, if you're going to their area or they're coming to my, people take care of each other. I don't know how the rest of it is now, but it was then, right? And it still is. Thank you very much on behalf of George.
Thanks, Joe. That was great. Our next inductee was an all-New England lacrosse player and a 2-time lacrosse captain from the class of 1975, Paul DeMarco.
You know, my freshman year was 1971. That was 50 years ago, a long time ago, but it gives me that distance of time to be able to look at the programs now at Norwich and sort of appraise them. And as an alumnus, I'm very happy about what's going on in the non-hockey, non-football sports here. The reason why is because now we have coaches that are completely dedicated to the sport, that have played the sport, that are enthusiastic about the sport, and the programs now are fully formed, which they weren't back in the 70s. Gifted athletes in high school can flourish under the tutelage of these coaches, and I have to say that as an alumnus, I thank Tony and his staff for that. I would like to thank and acknowledge my my Norwich soccer coach, Chandler Whittier Stoll. All the coaches I ever had across my life, I would have to say that Coach Stoll was the finest coach I ever had. I want to acknowledge and thank my 1975 teammates who formed the first post-World War II Norwich University intercollegiately competing wrestling team. In 1975, we had no team, we had no uniforms, we had no coach, we had no mats, we had nowhere to train, but we bent that karma and set the foundation for what I think is the present wrestling program here at Norwich. And I'm very honored to have contributed in that way. I also want to thank and acknowledge the 1975 NU lacrosse team, my teammates who finished the most successful season in the history of the sport. Up to that time, we were 12-1. We won the New England Intercollegiate Lacrosse Association Marsters Trophy for the most improved team in New England. And I'd like to especially note four of those players on that team. Close defenseman Pete Juskilca, always had a smile on his face, was one of the kindest guys I ever met. He flew in the Air Force, and now he lies in the NU cemetery up on the hill. I'd like to acknowledge George Morrell, who was a close defenseman on that team, who was killed during the 9/11 terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. I want to thank my classmate and teammate Chris Boucher, who's here. Thanks for everything, Chris. He's the guy that nominated me for this. And then I'd also like to thank Anthony Ortolano. He's here as well, a very famous guy in New York with regard to coaching and training. He's in many halls of fame. He's like my brother, and he's sitting there smiling and laughing, and so is his wife, Meg. Thank you guys for being here. I'd like to dedicate this Hall of Fame honor to my father. His name was Frank John DeMarco, and I'd like to also dedicate it to my sons, Ben and Luke. My father was born in 1918. He was the first generation in the U.S. 2 years later, in 1920, his own father, died of the Spanish flu epidemic. And at 15 years old, he quit school to drive a horse-drawn laundry wagon, and he collected laundry in Manhattan for his mother to do the laundry to support the family. He was a boxer. He played baseball and basketball. During World War II, he was with the amphibian engineers in the Asiatic Pacific Campaign in the Bismarck Archipelago. He saw action in New Guinea and the Philippines. After the war, he worked 5 jobs sequentially, and as a kid, I would only see him occasionally. He was my first coach, and he always said, "Try harder than you think you can." And I have to dedicate this honor to him and to my sons, Ben and Luke, who both became accomplished soccer and collegiate ice hockey players, and who kept that family tradition alive. My son Luke traveled from Las Vegas to be here with me, and I thank him for that. Lastly, I'd just like to say, for anybody inducted in the Hall of Fame like this, the ancients, the Greeks had 3 domains. They had the domain of the mortals, which included people and animals who come and go. And they also had this other domain of the eternals, the gods. So you had the mortals and the eternals, but there was a third domain they had, and it was the domain of the immortals. These were folks who would be remembered well. And so if this Hall of Fame honor grants me a touch of that, then I am in deep gratitude to Norwich. Other than when my sons were born, this is one of the highest highlights of my life. I want to thank everybody. And as always, Norwich forever. Thank you.
Our next inductee was a 3-sport athlete and a member of the All-East ski team. From the class of 1980, Chuck Allen.
Thank you. I'll be brief. And just a couple little things, Chuck Allen, by the numbers, I was here for 6 years at Norwich. I have 2 degrees. It wasn't good enough to get the biology degree the first time, so I went back for civil engineer. And I did ski team, I did lacrosse, I did soccer, and my last year I played rugby. And I was fortunate enough to not only play those sports, but I got to coach them when I came back here. So it was a real privilege to get to know different generations in all of those different sports. And I have my friends here from my ski team and lacrosse team in the table over there. And I want to thank you guys for coming, and Nina and Tracy as well, and my son Joseph. Appreciate that. But one of the stories that I like to think of as one of the turning points in my life. It was my second year at Norwich, and I was in the biggest race of the year, which was where we had all of the teams from all over New England come in Division Ones. So I was competing with all the Division One skiers, the Dartmouth and the Middlebury's and the UVMs of the world. And I was very, very nervous at the time. And I was in the start gate getting ready to go, and my coach, Bruce Jennings, who we lovingly knew as Frosty because of his charming personality, right? Some of you know Frosty, I'm sure. But I will say that he had a big, profound effect on me, and I really appreciated it for this reason, because I was super, super stressed out, ready to go, but I wasn't relaxed. And he said just 4 words, just go for it. And I've taken these words and used it many, many times in my life, and I think that it's something to live by. And when he said those words, I just really, the stress went away, and I just went down the hill, and I was able to qualify for the Division I championships for the NCAAs. I did that twice in my career at Norwich. This was the first time. But I think that the lesson that I was learned that you be prepared before you start, right? And just relax and just go for it, and the rest will take care of it. You got nothing to lose. So that was what I learned, and I've used it this day, and I thank you all for your time.
Our next inductee was an honorable mention football Pizza Hut All-American from the class of 1990, Mike Hester.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'll be quick. Really just want to thank, first of all, the committee. Tony, congratulations on the retirement after a great career. Chico, great seeing you again. And really, that's what I want to talk about Norwich. That table says it all right there. So I'd like to thank my folks, Jack and Diane, who came up, my wife, Katie, and Gus, flew up with me from El Paso, and then the crew from the 90s that took some time to drive up to Norwich, Vermont and see me. So Cooch, Leo, Vinny, appreciate it. And then Coach, yes. People say, why is Norwich so great? I said, well, the lessons you learn on the field have served me well, both in the military and in life. And really, the last 15 years or so of combat, because you all know the new Coach Yesalonia. I knew the old Coach Yesalonia. So, we stopped having nightmares about him about 10 years ago, and it's been great for post-traumatic stress disorder. So when you got back, I said, yeah, you're not worried about this combat stuff. Coach Yes was our coach, so we didn't have to worry about it. So, but anyway, on behalf of our classmates, I really appreciate it. And for BA, I don't know if you know Bobby Arnold, we lost him last year, so this is in memory of him and the rest of the team. So thank you very much.
Our next inductee was an All-New England and All-American wrestler from the class of 2000, Robert Ulrich.
Thank you. And I'm just going to start by saying I'm honored to be part of this, to be selected for the Hall of Fame at this prestigious university. And I thank my awesome family who took the trip up with me. I have my two sons there, Chase and Tyler. They're both star athletes themselves in their respective sports. Wrestling, baseball, and football. And the newest addition, Tyson, which is somewhere, baby Tyson. And then my wife all the way back there, Jen. So she's the better half of me. She's stronger than me. She's better looking than me. She treats me better than I treat her. She's more responsible than I am, and she thinks she's smarter than me. We've all traveled from Pennsylvania, and that's where I was born and raised. And that's also why I haven't, been up here very often. In fact, I haven't been here since I graduated. I attended from 1996 to 2000. During that time, I had two head coaches. One was Jesse Castro, and the other, Rich Hassenfuss. And I had the pleasure of meeting Alex today, the current wrestling coach. I remember Coach Castro and a friend of mine, Nate Trait, who talked me into coming here. They tried to convince me through several methods, saying that there was nice weather. Maybe if you're Queen Elsa, you like it. Talked about good-looking girls, and no disrespect to any of the ladies in here, there just weren't a lot of you. And also saying that once you get here, you don't want to leave until Coach Castro left. But one thing he did say before he left, he said that the wrestling team is a family, and that is actually true. Some of my fondest memories have been with those teammates. One of them, Gunnar Olsen, is right there. Fantastic wrestler. He's there with his lovely wife, Jen. They came out to see this, so shout out to them. But as I stand here, this is where it might get weird, and getting recognized for my achievements, I can't help but wonder, did I do enough? Was I really successful to me? To be honest, I'm not sure how, and we talked about this at the table, how I won so many matches. Maybe, yes, I was athletic. Maybe there was some natural talent. I think maybe my hips, I don't know. I was able to, use my hips that some wrestlers that I faced, they didn't know how to handle it. I don't know. But the problem was I lacked effort. I didn't work as hard as I could have, or maybe should have, or as hard as some of my teammates. In fact, my teammates called me and still call me the laziest All-American in the history of NCAA. No joke. And what's worse is, back then I was proud of that. And this mindset, unfortunately, kind of translated to my schoolwork and the early part of my career. And that was making things probably more difficult for me than they should have been. It wasn't until years later that I realized maybe that's not the best approach or the best key to success. So looking back at my wrestling career, I know I may have sold myself short a little bit by not working as hard as I could have, but I don't dwell on that. Mistakes are nothing more than opportunities to learn from, and so it actually helped me. It made me realize that effort is all about being the best that you can be. It's never easy, but it pays off. I stopped being lazy, and I've never been happier, professionally or personally. So what I learned is that you have to find what's important to you and work hard for it. If you want to be a champion, work for it. If you want that degree, work for it. If you want that promotion, work for it. If you want to be an MLB player like my son, work for it. No one's going to hand you anything. You have to push through and keep things going when others quit. Because on the other side of all that hard work, sweat, blood, tears, is success, regardless of your achievements. Thank you.
Our next inductee was a two-time Rifle All-American from the class of 2000, David Held.
Good evening. So when I was considering what to talk about this evening, it occurred to me that this evening we're celebrating performance and we're celebrating success, both as individuals and as members of teams. And it struck me that what I like to call the greatest success story of all time, which is the Bible, coincidentally, there's a couple of promises in there that God offers to us. One of them is, I have a plan for your life, and it's a plan to prosper you and not to harm you. Another one that goes along with that is, I will order your steps. So when we're competing, when we're in the throes of our academics in college, sometimes we don't necessarily recognize that that promise is being fulfilled, then our steps are being ordered. Now we have the gift of hindsight, in my case, a little over 20 years, and it's glaringly obvious at this point in life that those two things were in fact taking place. My steps were being ordered, and that plan to prosper me was in the works. And the athletic competition at Norwich was part of a building block for a foundation, and I'd like to think that it's a foundation for limitless potential in life, and I think that continues to bear out. And in celebrating success and performance, none of us are islands, none of us function in a bubble. We're members of teams, and in my case, I don't think I'd be standing here today if it weren't for those around me. You know, they say that you're the average of the people that you're around. Well, in my case, I had the benefit of a lot of people. Number one, obviously my Creator, who gave me some talents that I could take advantage of. My parents, they sacrificed and worked hard so that my time at Norwich could be easier and could take place, period. My coach, Mike Horgan, who's back there, he's coached several other members of the Hall of Fame, and I think that goes without saying that he did an outstanding job. He could see talent in people that they probably couldn't see in themselves, and I would say that he was a bit of a craftsman and probably taking people that nobody had heard of and either stepping back or stepping in as the need arose to bring out the best in them and get them to reach their full potential. And I had the wonderful benefit for 4 years of having a team member who I got to compete next to and compete with, named Emily Caruso, who was not only one of the top athletic performers probably in the history of Norwich, but she represented the United States on several Olympic teams. And to have a person like that who is just so far above you in their performance capabilities, you can't help but elevate your game to a whole new level. So while my name may be on the program, I think tonight is a celebration of those around me that helped me achieve whatever I achieved. So this honor would be an honor for them as well. Thank you.
Our next inductee was a first-team All-American hockey player from the class of 2010, Eric Tallon. Now, Eric couldn't be here tonight, but accepting the award for Eric is his coach, Mike Mclean.
Thank you very much. It's great to be back here at Norwich. It's been a couple of years and I'm retired and enjoying myself. I've got a nice tan with my lovely wife. People say, well, what are you doing? I said, well, we're playing a lot of golf, going to the beach and going out in the boat and taking care of grandchildren. I guess those are the things you're supposed to do when you retire. But I also follow the cadets, not just the hockey team, but all the athletic teams. And we went to the inauguration of the new president yesterday. My wife and I enjoyed that. And last night they had the party and the celebration and the fireworks. And I was very impressed with how it was conducted and the fact that how the president handled, following President Schneider, a legend and my mentor, and I worked with him for 23 years. He's a superstar. And the job that is ahead of our new president, but I think he's going to do a great job, and I have a lot of confidence in him, and I know he wants to do a lot for athletics. I know that for a fact. I played golf with him down at the Doyle, and he confirmed that to me. He made me feel like the hockey program and all the programs were going to get special benefits and support. So that I'm grateful for. Eric Tallon was an excellent player for us in 2010. Tallon had a lot of talent. If you read his bio here, the kid was a very bright kid, still is. He's, working for a big outfit now in Texas. And he is from Texas. And people say, well, hockey players from Texas. He said they're from all over the country now. And Eric, was going to try to make it up, but he was a little concerned with the COVID situation, and he has a baby. So he just wanted he wrote me a note last night, and he just wanted to thank his teammates, especially all the teammates, and Coach Gustafson, Coach Matson, Coach Cohn, for helping him out and serving as great mentors towards him. He wanted to congratulate President Snyder in getting in the Hall of Fame, and he was just grateful to the fact that he had the opportunity to play here. I would like to just add a couple of things. I'm not going to speak when the 2010 team is going to be honored. Owen Carpino, one of our assistant captains, is going to do that honor. But I would like to say a couple of words about maybe one of the greatest teams I ever coached and one of the greatest teams that ever participated at Norwich University. And just talk about that championship game up at Lake Placid. We were fortunate to make the national championships, and we did very well. We won some tight games, we had some comeback wins, and then we got to the final game. And, of course, Lake Placid being the home of the Olympic 1980 championship and had a lot of meaning. and we had a great crowd there. Plattsburgh was playing in that tournament, and so was Oswego. So we had about 7,000 people at the game, and many of you people out here, not many, but some of you were at that game. And that game lasted 100 minutes. It was the longest college game, championship game. And Nikki, you, and everybody was in the crowd was just, I mean, they were exhausted to begin with. It was 100 minutes. But what was great is it was our 100th year of celebration of Norwich hockey. Norwich hockey started in 1909, and for that game to end in the 100th minute, and it was a spectacular goal. And before the game, one of my guys who played with DJ Fimiano, who's here too, he played in the fourth line. He said to me, Craig Serino, he said before the game, he said, and Craig was kind of a cocky kid, but he was a gamer and a good kid. He said to me, I'm ready tonight. I know I'm ready, so any tight situations you can put me in, Coach. I said, okay, thank you very much, and get out in the ice. Well, anyway, the game was going on, and the game was on national TV. And there were a lot of TV timeouts, which we weren't used to. And so I kind of took a little advantage. So we went to 3 lines. We changed it up a little bit, and Serino was playing unbelievable, so I put him on the first line. And he played with Fiacco and Kyle Thomas, 2 All-Americans, great players. And now the game is going on and going on and going, and we're playing real well. I mean, we're playing great. But you know hockey, you can be playing great, and then one rush by the other team, and it's over, and that's what you're going to remember the whole summer. It's going to kill your golf game, kill your family life, everything. So, not that we think of it during the game, but I think sometimes I have. Well, the game's going on, and, you know, we had the timeouts, and I said, Serino, I want you to go up and play in the first line. He said, you got it in you. And we had some great shifts. We go to 3 lines. And sure enough, we got lucky. One of their kids was clearing the puck. They got a little more tired than we did, more exhausted. They were going down, and Serino put his glove up, caught the puck, dropped it down, fired it down to the corner, to Thomas. Thomas was in the corner, made a quick move, fired it out to Catone. The puck went in the net, and what relief it was. Corey and I hugged after the game, and the game was on TV and got replayed a number of times. And if you ever want to watch a great game, it's on YouTube. And someone said, geez, that was great. You were hugging and, you know, celebrating. I said, that was just a relief hug. I was dead. I was dying. But that was a super season, a great year. And I congratulate all those guys. A lot of them played pro hockey. Eric played 6-7 years of pro hockey. And that set the tone for a couple of more championships. This is, I've got 4 of these. This is the 3rd one. And this was a team with these guys here. And thank you very much. And Eric Tallon says thank you to all. Thank you.
Actually, you can go down. You can go down. Yeah. Yeah, we'll send it to him. Okay, our next inductee was captain and All-American women's hockey player here at Norwich, a tremendous player for us, and currently our women's hockey coach from the class of 2010, Sophie LeClaire Doherty.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Oh, wow. Great answer. Wow, that's awesome. Mike, I can't wait to share a little bit of, wow, what a great story. I have a piece of that while you guys were winning. Anyway, we'll dive into it. So, hi, everybody. First of all, first and foremost, congratulations to everyone else, individual and team members inducted into this year's Hall of Fame class. I want to say thank you as well to the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me to stand alongside this well-deserving group. It's funny. You write a speech and you just reflect, and upon that reflection, you know, all these stats that are written in either in whatever pamphlets are in front of you or that you can Google online. It's whatever else is online. It's really surface level. So the real journey behind all of this, not many people saw, and it means more to me than any stat anywhere. And it came in the form of several milestones on a timeline that I've condensed to 5 words. Number 1, coffee. The amount of caffeine that my parents consumed, Mike and Joanne, to lug me around every rink in New England, Vermont, Canada, who knows, before 6 a.m. is record-setting. But of course, they did it with a smile. The coffee then turned to a bunch of Labatt Blue Lights afterwards with a bunch of parents in the hotel lobby, which in hindsight probably escalated the whole need for coffee in the morning. Number 2, pain. I had 5 knee surgeries. My left knee between the ages of 17 and 20 obviously not only caused me pretty significant physical pain, but emotionally crushed me at the time. Playing Division I hockey ultimately ended that career. Number 3, persistence. Naturally, being a stubborn, significantly emotionally hijacked late teen, the world was over. All the time, and coffee put into my career was done. And then Mark Bolding and Keith Maurice called, and they came to the rescue. They were very persistent with their calls. Full disclosure, didn't want to visit Norwich. It was a military school, too close to home, and just nothing I was interested in. Needless to say, here I am. I made it, found my second chance here, and decided to join the NU family. Number 4, tears. 3 years later, during a few defining moments, not just my career, but in Norwich women's hockey history, they came in waves. First, they came from our very own staff member at the time, who shed visible tears on the bench when she found out that she wasn't going on spring break, but instead we were headed to the Frozen Four for the first time in women's hockey history. And then a week later, actually, and this where it ties into Mike's story, the men were playing a national championship the same day that we were. And the tears came in a different way because I was actually in the penalty box when they said over the loudspeaker that the men had won the national championship. We were down like 6-0 at that point. So lots of tears for sure. And then exactly a year later, happy tears as we lifted the first ever NCAA trophy for Norwich University and brought it home. And that was the last game competitively that I ever played. Last and certainly not least, gratitude. I'm so thankful for Norwich, for my family, my teammates, and the coaches for sharing this journey with me. If there was room for a 6th word, it would be never, because I'd never have reached this stage without them. Lastly, I'm thankful for the coffee, the pain, the persistence, and the tears. Without these and the countless moments in between, the stats that live on Google wouldn't mean a thing. Thank you.
Now, tonight we're inducting 2 teams, and Owen, I don't know if you got anything left to say after Coach McShane, but the first team is the 2010 men's ice hockey team that finished the season with a 25-1-4 record and a national championship, as Mike said, over in Lake Placid. And I would like to call up the members of that team that are here tonight. Unfortunately, many of them could not be with us, but we do have a few. So Owen Carpino, DJ Fimiani, Nikki Dunning, assistant coach Steve Mattson, assistant coach Corey Gustafson, and head coach Mike McShane. Come on up. Come on, Steve. Everybody wants to see your white boots.
Good evening. Hello. Before I get started, just want to congratulate all the individuals that have been inducted tonight into the Hall of Fame, and what a great honor that is. And personally, Eric and Sophie, the two that I know, were obviously Hall of Fame athletes, but two of the better people that I know also. And so, super well-deserved honor for both of them. This was really a team thing, and I'm happy that Nikki is here, and Coach Gustafson, and Coach McShane, and Coach Mattson, and DJ are here. It was the kind of team that everybody sort of had a role and played it perfectly, and that every role was as important as the next one, and none more important than the person next to you. And it was just that sort of mindset and that sort of team, and it was just an unbelievable group of guys. I got to be honest, Coach McShane called me a week and a half ago, and I still get nervous when he calls. I saw it light up, and I was like, geez, did I do something a month ago? How could he possibly have known that? And then also, to speak about just how dependable and trustworthy the guys in the locker room were, to give them a hard time for a second, I called most of them this week, and I said, all right, can't wait to see you guys. Like, well, we're not going to be there. I'm like, perfect, excellent. So we're doing a thing in November. It was an alumni event there that most of the guys will be there then, so that'll be a really good time to get together and to celebrate. What Coach McShane didn't say while he was up here was that the year before we won the national championship, we actually lost in the quarterfinals of the ECAC in our league, 1-0. And so we had a team that was comprised of mostly freshmen and sophomore that year, except for our leaders, who were seniors. And Tyler Stitt, who was the captain of that team, who was the heart of that team, and the best captain I've had in any sport, at any level, wishes he could be here tonight, too. I spoke with him this morning. And Eric Tallon and DJ Fimiani were the assistant captains on that team, and really just set the tone for what was a really special year. I remember that first weekend that we played that year. We went to University of New England, who didn't have a strong program at the time, and I think we won 2-1 or something like that along those lines. Kind of a tough game. And we got in the locker room, and Sereno looked at me and said, geez, we're going to have a rebuild this year, and kind of laughed about it. And then we sort of just went on a run that ended in a 26-1-4 season with a national championship. What I think about when I think about this school, and when I think about that team, and when I think about being here tonight, is what makes this hockey program so important in my life, and what makes it so unique. I think it sets it apart from other places. Is that the tradition here matters. That it matters what people or teams or individuals did before you. And that what you do will matter for teams and individuals to follow. And that the guys here now and the athletes here now will pave the way for those to come as well. And that is important here. It matters. Another thing that I've sort of recognized as I've graduated here, and I'm a teacher now at a prep school and coach hockey, is a Norwich grad is a certain type of person. And I don't know all of you, and the ones that I've met, and certainly the guys that I'm still in touch with and friends with today, I think loyalty is a big word for all of them. Another thing that really matters to them. The idea of defending each other, and then defending the shield as well, but doing it as a team. And it was the best team that I'd ever played for. Each guy playing a specific role in order to complete what was our mission to win that national championship. And it's an incredible honor, and I'm still friends with all these guys. I talk to them pretty frequently. They're the greatest guys that I know. I trusted them in the locker room, perhaps more than I've trusted anybody, and I trust them today as well, going forward, and they remain good friends of mine. I'll leave you with, when we were celebrating the next morning after we had come back from Lake Placid, we were in the locker room, and Coach McShane came in, and we were all sort of just, hooting and hollering, having a good time, and he sort of sat us down and stopped us, and I don't know if he remembers, but he looked at us and said, "This is the best team I've ever coached." And he didn't say anything else, but I think coming from him with such a legacy and being such an amazing coach, the guys in the locker room sort of looked around and looked at each other, and it was this moment where it was really special, and we were really proud. And we had done something that not a lot of other individuals and teams were able to do. And it was just an amazing accomplishment. So I'm super humbled and honored to be here accepting it on behalf of that team. The greatest team that I'd ever played for, and it's just a really big honor to be here tonight. Thank you.
And now our second team is the 1969-70 football team that finished the season with a 6-2 record and was one of the top defensive football teams in the country. To mark this special occasion for the 69-70 team, led by Fred Morsheimer and Carl Holden with input from their teammates, a beautifully designed commemorative medallion was created for each team member, coaches, and staff and significant supporters. It's the hope that this medallion will serve as a lasting remembrance of the team's glory days on the gridiron, which have led to the 1969-70 football team's induction into the Norwich Athletic Hall of Fame. Coaches Joe Sable, Barry Minner, Frank Hershey, and athletic trainer Tomasi would be proud of this group. Special thanks to coaches Jack Charney, who is here today, and Jim Michelson, who unfortunately broke a few ribs and couldn't be a part of this, along with trainer Jack Comel, who were a special part of this team. So at this time, I'd like to ask Carl and Frank to come forward to help distribute the coins, and then we'll announce each team member and have them come up and get their certificates. So Frank and Carl, please come forward. Now, I have to admit that I did not get an opportunity to see this team play, and I'm sure they were special, but I did become very close to one member of this team, and that was Jay Catone. And I do have one story about Jay, and it involves Resuscitator Annie, but I can't tell it on this. I can't tell it on this stage. But Jay knows exactly what I'm talking about. So we had some fun back then, and that was probably one of the funniest nights I've ever had here at Norwich University. So when we call your name, come on up. We have, no, geez, I'll tell you afterwards. Yeah. When I call your name, please come up. We have a certificate for you, and Frank and Carl will give you one of the coins, and then Terry Stucker will speak for the team. So, in alphabetical order, I hope. Robert Bjerke, Robert Bowman, Jay Catone, David Cronk, William Grove. Carl's up here already. William Jennings, Richard Knight, Jack Comel, George Koholvik, David Margolis Pino, Frank's up here, Gerard McHale, Grant Mclean, and I would ask Wally to come up and accept for Grant. Fred Morsheimer, Robert Rayner, Rick Riccio, Jeff Rotman, Rich Sable, and accepting as his grandson, William, Terry Stecker, Dr. Jack Weaver, Larry Wisniewski, Jack Charney. I think I got everybody. I hope I didn't miss anybody.
Good job, Coach.
Put your name on it.
Oh, you got me. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, right there. Yep. All right, buddy, thanks. Hey, how you doing? Frank and Carl.
I think so too, yeah. I just want to drape it.
Frank, these are yours.
Can you make that stay up there?
Yeah, you'll be lucky.
Yeah. Let's see.
Don't have any tape.
Yeah. Well, we can just do it this way. That's good. We all know where we came from.
There you go.
Okay.
Frank, I think Frank took it. Hey, Terry, it's all yours.
Good evening. I will speak for the 1969-70 team, but the only coach that we have here now with us is Jack Charney. Jack was the coach. Jack was an assistant coach, worked very closely with Barry Minter and the defensive line, which I was involved in, and Jack was very much involved in that. Jack, why don't you go ahead and you'd like to say a few words.
Okay, yes, I do. Very quickly, I know it's a long night and so forth, but the thing that I want to emphasize is with regard to Norwich University and the type of young men that have come in here and have dedicated their lives to the benefits and the good things of Norwich. And in those days that we were here, I came in 1968. I was with the 69 team. I was with the 70 team, and then I stayed 3 more years before I left. But the thing that was different at that time, our country was in a very, very problematic situation with regard to Vietnam. Vietnam was dividing the country. And as far as the Norwich men here, at that time it was all male, all military, and their commitment, their dedication, their togetherness, the teamwork was just amazing. And I had the good fortune to go on and coach at other places, but Norwich was the best because of the young men here. Thanks, Terry.
Jack played at Springfield College, and AIC, which is one of the teams we played, was just down the road. And when we were getting ready to play him, Jack was running around, the Icemen, they're coming to get you. And you know what? They tried, but they didn't succeed, that's for sure. I was going to introduce the team, but we did that obviously with the coins and the plaques, so I'll skip that at this point. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame for inducting this team. It's been a long journey trying to get here, and we finally made it. A team doesn't get here just by putting on a uniform and saying, you know what, we're going to go out and win all our games, and we're the greatest team in the world. It takes coaching, and we had some of the greatest coaches, I believe, in New England. I said that when I was inducted in 1995. If you look at the record, we were fourth in the Lambert Bowl. I don't know whether you all know about the Lambert Bowl and the Lambert Trophy and the Lambert Cup, but it recognizes the various football teams, different levels in the East. And we wound up fourth. And in our schedule, we had two teams. We had the number one team, which was the Merchant Marine Academy, and we had St. Lawrence, which finished number two. Number three was Wilkes College, which was 8-0, and then Norwich, which was we were 6-2. I'd like to talk a little bit about the coaches. Joe Sable, this is his second team in the Hall of Fame. He had another team, which was the 70-71 team, and some of those players are here tonight, particularly Mr. Catone, which was mentioned. And Joey was a great quarterback, and we thank you for all your play. But he was part of that whole thing. Joe Sable brought the Penn State offense and defense to Norwich University. We were usually playing a five-man line with either three linebackers or four linebackers, and we went to a 4-4-3. And Penn State, that was Joe Paterno kind of was the forerunner in the four-man line, and he made it work. I will tell you, I had my doubts about the defensive 4-4-3. I came to camp at 188 pounds, and I usually played nose guard. And they were going to move me to strong side defensive tackle. And 188, by the time we were ready to play our first game, I was probably down to about 180 pounds. And quite frankly, the teams we played, we were giving away 20 and 30 pounds per man on both sides of the ball. And the only way we couldn't hook up with those guys, but the only way we could beat them is with speed. And as I said to Barry Minter when I was up here in February in 2020, I said to him, speed kills. And he said, Terry, you're absolutely right. And he believed in speed, agility, and beating them to the other side of the ball. That defense was predicated on the point of you step across the line and you establish the line of credit, or I'm sorry, I'm thinking my banking years. Once a banker, always a banker. You never lose interest. Come on. But anyhow, we established that line on the other side of 1 yard, and that made the difference. And then you would go to the ball. Frank Hershey was another Penn State guy. He was involved with the offense. He was the offensive assistant coach. He played at Penn State also, and I believe he was an All-American. Jack Charney, who you met, Jack was a great guy, soft tone, but got his point across, and I thank him very much for all his input because he was really involved with the defensive side of the ball, particularly the interior line. John Norris, who's not here, John was our freshman coach, got us started in the Norwich football. He was a Hall of Famer, and Ray Alexander, who was a freshman coach, and he is not here with us. He has also passed, but he was a great coach also. Jim Michelson also, he helped out. He was a freshman coach, but he helped out mostly with the I think with the offense side of the ball. This coaching staff taught us pride. They taught us to trust one another, commitment to each other, accountability, conditioning. I will tell you that this was probably the best conditioned team I ever played with. And like I said to you, we were outweighed 20 to 30 pounds per man on both sides of that ball. And you know, if we didn't get you in the first quarter and we didn't get you in the second quarter, we got you in the third and fourth. And believe me, we did. Preparedness. Be prepared. Know your assignments. Know what's going on. What are we playing? Important, absolutely important to prepare yourself. Sportsmanship. Both sides, both to your teammates and also sportsmanship on the other side. I can tell you that we played against some teams that you would hear some language you wouldn't believe. Not from our team. We played with our forearms, we played with our legs, and we played with our bodies to make it happen. You heard no bad language out of us, that's for sure. Respect for one another. That means coaches, and that means players. Each one respected the other. I had the opportunity, we vacationed up here in Middlebury, and I had the opportunity to go to a couple of the Middlebury games. Bates was playing Middlebury, and then Trinity was playing Middlebury. And I got to tell you, I was shocked to hear those football players coming off the field with some of the language. There's no place for that. There's absolutely no place for that in football, in my mind. And basically, you heard the same thing from the coaches. That is disappointing, and that should never happen. You respect one another. The coaches respect you, and you respect them. And the last thing that Barry used to really hammer in us, mental toughness. Mental toughness, that nobody's going to beat you. Nobody's going to beat you, whether you're an offensive player or you're a defensive player. Nobody is ever going to beat you. You're going to establish that line 1 yard in and go to the ball. And there is no pain. There is no pain. You don't feel pain. You go 100%, 110% every down. This is the 6th football team inducted into the Norwich Hall of Fame. And Barry Minter and Joe Sable have 2 of those teams. So that speaks a little bit about their coaching ability and what they've done for the university. This team, the 69-70 team, and I won't name the players, but the awards that they won, and believe me, there are no all-stars on this team at all. There were none. They were no names. Everybody came out and did their job. But there were 2 players that were most valuable players in college in the state of Vermont. 2 players, first team All East, ECAC. 2 players, first team All New England. 2 players, second team All New England. 10 Hall of Fame players. 2 academic All-Americans, and this is the first team to be ranked for Norwich University to be ranked in the Lambert Bowl. It's hard to believe that it was 55 years ago, and these guys will remember this. We stood in this armory, and we met with the coaches. And I stood right there, and the coaches were out there, and they were going over the defense and the offense and what they do and whatnot. I stood there, and I thought, how many of us are going to be here at the end? And when you look at it, here we are. And you look around, and there aren't many of us, but we made it. The Norwich University football team represented the university in the 100 years of NCAA football. 1969 was the 150th anniversary of the university. To celebrate the 100 years of football, the NCAA gave stickers that put on your helmet, and it said 100. We were different. We had 150 sticker on our helmets, which was celebration of Norwich University, 150 years of existence. The most distinguishing point of accomplishment for this team was its 4th place, a Lambert Bowl finish. The team also distinguished itself defensively, finishing 2nd in the nation in small college division total defense. In an era of high-scoring offenses, the '69 football team showed that defense can win games. The team finished defensively, the team finished defensively in top 8 nationally among divisional teams, in 3rd and 4th in defensive categories in the final statistics released by the College Sports Services. The Cadets finished 2nd overall in total defense, 6th in rushing defense, 6th in defensive scoring. In total defense, Norwich allowed only 150 yards average per game and finished 2nd, 151.9 yards per game, and 2nd finished only to Livingston College out of North Carolina, which they registered 148.5 yards. The defense, rushing defense, held its opponents on an average of 54.4 yards per game, and only allowed 65 points in 8 games for 8.1 points per game. The defense was not the only reason for the '69 team's success. The offense was spectacular from the standpoint of they quietly and definitively would grind the ball out and eat the clock. And in that average, with these teams that finished in the top tiers, the closest team ran 48-point-something yards, plays per game. The offense ran 70-point-some. That was the highest average for the top 5 teams. So you can see that the offense did its thing. Also, the offense, where is it here? The offense also beat a Norwich team which was had a rushing record in 1952 of 1,600 and some yards, and the offense came up with 1,800 and some yards. Secondly, this is the second team that Joe Sable era has inducted in the Norwich Hall of Fame. Joe Sable brought something new to the Norwich football program: pride, hard work, fundamental soundness, mental toughness. These are truly attributes of this team. Joe Sable and his coaching staff prepared these teams for another level of competition. We were prepared to meet the competition. It is in my opinion that the 69 team will be had one of the greatest seasons in Norwich University history, from its ranking 4th in the Lambert Cole to its ranking number 2 in the nation in defense. This was a group of young men that came together every day for one purpose, and that was to be the best they could be, to honor the maroon and gold, and come off the field as a winner. Another very important, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this, another very important part of this team, success team, was the co-captain, Grant Mclean. Grant was a tragically lost about 10 miles from here in an accident and automobile accident in his senior year. Grant was a truly scholar athlete. He could have graduated at the end of the first semester of his senior year, but he hung around. He wanted more classes, and he was a dean's list student. Grant was a teammate. He was a roommate. We roomed together for 3 years. He was our fellow co-captain and my very best friend. You will not find Grant's name on any All-East team or any All-New England team, but he was voted by his teammates as the most valuable offensive player. Grant was truly a leader in his position on the team, although most of the time quiet, but always leading by example. If needed, Grant could vocally motivate his team to push the rock harder. At the same time, setting an example for his team by pushing that rock first. Grant will always keep this former player, me, motivated and focused. When we would come off the field, I would be playing our defense, he would be playing offense, and I knew when he was in a tight situation and things weren't really going the way they should, and he would say to me, "Terry, you got to hold him." And I'd say to him, "You got to give me some points." And so they did. He was hardworking, came to practice every day with a purpose, and gave 110% on every snap he played. His total commitment to Norwich University football program was instrumental in the 69 team being ranked 4th in the Lambert Bowl. His desire was always to walk off the field a winner and set the example for all his teammates. Most of the time, Grant, in his position at fullback, was the lead blocker for George Koholvik. And George set numerous records nationally and New England for his rushing. But his best rushing days were with the 69-70 team, and also his scoring was with the 69-70 team. In the 78th meeting of the Middlebury College versus Norwich, Grant had his best day as a ball carrier. Grant carried the ball 30 times for 176 yards. And when I was on the bench, defense was resting, and the coach took him out, Sable took him out, and I said, "What are you doing? This guy just gets better as he gets more tired." And it was a hot day, and the sweat was running off of him. And I went up to him, and I said, "Grant," I said, "keep pounding him, keep pounding him." He just put his head down, play later. He was on the field, pounding away at him. Not only did Grant run over Middlebury on that day, he paved the way for George to have an amazing, exceptional day. Grant earned a berth on the ECA weekly team for his record performance that day. Grant's seasonal performance as a head lead blocker and ball carrier enabled the Norwich 69 team to break the total rushing record. I look back at the years of football that I played with Grant and liken his leadership to which the great coach Vince Lombardi said, and he describes it in his book, When Pride Mattered. And basically, it's in the 7th block. He writes, "Leaders are molded. They're not born. They're made by the effort, the hard effort, which is the price they pay, all of us must pay to achieve any goal that is worthwhile. A leader must identify himself with the group. He must back up the group even at displeasing his superiors. He must believe that the group wants from him the sense of approval. If that prevails, production, discipline, and morale will be high, and in return, he can demand the cooperation to promote the goals of the team. He must believe in teamwork through participation. He must be sensitive to the emotional needs and expectations of others. A leader must walk as if it were a tightrope between consent, and he must control the team that is there. Grant was a solid rock player, mentally tough, hardworking, blue-collar, team-oriented football player. He was always the centerpiece of the offense unit in '69. Once he stepped over the white line on a Saturday afternoon, it was a win. Never to come off the field a loser. He hated to lose, let me tell you. A star shined so bright, but went dark so soon. A star this football player, me, will not forget, because that star still shines for me, and I know it shines for others. This is my teammate. This is my classmate. This is my fellow co-captain, and my best friend. And my best friend. Number 35. Finally, I would like to thank God for what we've done here and what my fellow players have done. You're truly a band of brothers to me. I used to say a prayer for our team before each game, but not to win, but to protect each other and give us the strength to carry on to meet the challenge. So here we are, the journey. Some say the journey, some say the destination. I believe they go both hand in hand. When you put your head down, to my fellow players, when you put your head down tonight on the pillow, know that you were the best of the best. And you were. It was, as your co-captain, it was a pleasure to, not only a pleasure, it was an honor to play with you and alongside of you. We are in the fourth quarter of our lives. The clock is ticking. The defense has given you the ball, offense. Memories come and go and last forever. Tell your grandchildren about the golden years of Norwich football. Be safe, be well, and remember, be UVM. Thank you.
Did I mention Jay Catone's fondness for resuscitator Annie? Oh, okay. I just have that picture in my mind, and I can't get rid of it. Anyway, I just want to first congratulate all the individual inductees in both teams, tremendous athletes across the board, and it's been an honor to be able to honor you tonight, and hopefully you'll have some great memories with your teammates over the weekend, and we'll remember, this night with great fondness and certainly great memories. A couple of notes. On Saturday, we will announce the individual inductees and team members at halftime. So what we would like you to do is to come down right behind the home team bench with about 5 minutes left, and we'll announce all the inductees for both the individual and the team, so that the crowd can acknowledge you, and certainly hopeful that you'll have a great time this weekend and enjoy the camaraderie that you had when you were here, and it will continue hopefully throughout the weekend. So thanks very much for being here tonight. Have a great weekend.